And Monika.
And welcome to the Rich Relationship Live, the Rich Relationship Show Live.
Here we are.
So it is Monday, and we are working on a bunch of different things. And one of the things that we're working on is a coaching program. And we had a question today, which is, how do you work with people around money? And Monika are like, yes, we love this question because we're currently creating and we're launching the Rich Relationship Program and the Rich Relationship Masterclass that's happening this week, which we're going to tell you about at the end of this conversation. But I thought that how we answered that question, I was like, oh, well, that's a really good answer. I think people would want to hear that answer.
Great.
So
that was fun.
Yeah. So Monika, what's a situation, like what's something that you typically hear when people are it's a couple and you're having challenges in their relationship around money? Like, what do you typically hear as a common situation?
I typically hear blame. Someone is to blame.
Okay.
Someone's mad at someone because someone is to blame for something that they're doing. So they're either spending too much, or they're not happy about what their partner is spending, or they have to make sure to pass it by their partner, or they feel like they're not free about it, or they feel like they have enough money but they don't feel that they deserve to spend it on themselves, something like that.
Okay. So when you hear blame, do you just point it out? Are people open to hearing that they're blaming, or how do you handle that?
No, I definitely allow someone to have the understanding and the experience, like what are you feeling inside of yourself that is the trouble? What's the challenge? What's the situation that you're in that's causing the friction? So it's helping them get to the point of, oh, you're having this friction. And then the first thing that they want to do is they want to say, and here's why. And I like to say, well, what if, before we talk about, because you're probably going to be right, there's probably some things that you feel that are accurate, but before you start talking about that, let's talk about, why do you think this is triggering you? Why do you think that you're upset about this? Because when people don't feel like it's something they're doing or their partner's doing, it's much easier for them to start to palate it and deal with it.
Right. So often when there's something not working in a relationship, people look for, what is my partner doing wrong? That if they do differently, this problem would go away.
Yeah.
Or what am I doing wrong? That if I were doing differently, this problem would go away. So it's not always that simple, though.
Mm-mm.
It's not often what it is to do, but it's often just having more awareness around what's causing the situation.
Yeah.
So what was money like growing up for you?
So growing up, my father, he was young when he moved to America. He's an immigrant, came to America by himself, young, 17, 18 years old. And he didn't have anybody that was a great role model of what money was. So in my household growing up, it was always work, 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 work. There was often more bill than month. So my father was angry, he was frustrated, he would yell, he would get stressed out, and unfortunately he didn't really have a lot of the tools, so he'd get stressed out and angry, and he would let it seep into our daily life. It would become part of our dinner conversation, it would be part of, and I'd come home from school, or he'd come home after work, and you never knew which version of him you were going to get. Right. So my relationship to money was strained, it was stressful, it was uncomfortable. And so for me, I never wanted to be without it. I always wanted to make sure I had money. And then my father would tell me, you can't depend on anybody else. You have to make your own money. You have to be successful yourself. You. So everything I did was, how do I make all the money and how do I depend on myself? Which, when you came into the picture, was a really hard thing, because I wanted to be in a relationship with someone where we collaborated with our finances and collaborated with our dreams. And when we first met, all of our conversations were all about those very dreams. And yet I didn't want to give up any of the control. I didn't want to give up any of the responsibility to you, because my father made it really clear that you'd screw it all up.
Right.
Before I even met you,
right.
You'd screw it up.
Before you even met me.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I wanted to get to. So in our own relationship, early on, Like money was the biggest issue. The biggest issue. And we thought, let's make more. If we can just make more money.
Yeah, then we're going to be free and safe and fine.
Yeah.
Not the case at all.
Yeah. And that's a huge misunderstanding that people have. They think that if they just have more of something, then that'll solve the problem. That wasn't our problem. Our problem was that we learned money differently. We had different money stories growing up. We had totally different relationships to money, so that when we became a couple and we're doing money together, we did it so differently that it created issues.
Yeah.
So you grew up learning.
Why don't you talk about you and I'll talk about how I grew up.
Okay.
Talk about how you did it.
Well, I was going to summarize.
Yeah, no.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my parents also immigrants, and they moved here, and they worked their butt offs, and they were successful. And so they had a bunch.
Well, they weren't successful at the beginning. At the beginning, they were struggling a lot, and they made a decision that they didn't want to ever have their children struggle like they did.
Yeah.
Keep going.
So they just worked and worked and worked, and they created positive results. And I grew up experiencing abundance. I grew up experiencing that money is available, and that if you work hard, you can have nice things, and that if you work hard, you will earn money. And I learned that as long as I'm a good human being, I'm a good boy.
I think it's more than human being. I think it's when you're a good boy, you get rewarded.
When I'm a good boy, I get rewarded.
Yeah,
sure.
I think that's different than I'm a good person, and so money comes to me easily, and I'm a money magnet. It's like, I'm a good boy, I work hard, I showed my mommy and daddy that I'm a good boy, or I showed the world I'm a good boy, and so the universe is going to reward me.
Yeah, and I'm allowed to reward myself.
And you got me, so of course you're rewarded. It's so great.
I did. Yes. So then the two of us come together.
Mm.
And so this is where the issue started, or really came forward, because I'm a spender, because I'm going to make it. I know I'm going to make it. And even if I've never made it up until that point, I was confident. My life was working for me.
And your parents showed you if they can make it as immigrants, if they can make it through their struggles. They didn't have lots. They had, the clothes on their back, whatever they could carry. They fled Cuba. Like, you have such a life.
Yeah.
You probably went to some sort of a place of justification. Like, I don't have it like they had it, so I should absolutely, were you shitting on yourself a little bit?
No, I didn't even understand that topic, that concept.
I know, but now looking back, is it possible that was happening?
I don't think I was shitting on myself. I think I was just, my relationship to money always was, I'm smart, I work hard, I'm a good boy, and I therefore the universe should be rewarding me with money. I'm going to be clever. I'm going to be very entrepreneurial. I'm very hardworking, like always working, always thinking about how to create. From, when I was in high school, I was, building businesses.
So you and I have that in common.
Yeah. We're both very entrepreneurial.
And we work hard no matter what. Whatever it's going to take, we'll do it. Maybe that's part of why we've had to work so hard.
Maybe. So bottom line is, I came from a place of spend money, enjoy life. You will make it back. You will make it. And you came from a place of
not that.
Save.
I came from a place of there's never going to be enough. So you need to make sure that you have saved it and you don't spend it and you think about it and you budget and you take care of it. And I came from two very different perspectives. My mother was raised by a father who was so doting, gave her everything, and married a man who wasn't like her father. Yeah. So that was a juxtaposition. And so to compensate for how different he was from her father, she was always very loving and would give us everything she could in terms of her love and her time and her energy and her efforts. And to me, that is worth its weight far beyond money. But I got fear involved inside of myself because my father activated this. If you don't have it, you won't be able to do anything you love in life.
Right. So here we are, college graduates, in love, happy, excited to take on the world. And I have a master's in screenwriting, and I get my first job and I'm earning like nothing. And you're working at Cheesecake Factory, Relax the Back, one of these places, making a little bit of money while you're getting ready for medical school.
Yep.
And we start thinking that we can live a good life, even though we're not making the money that we're making, or I think that we can. And then pretty soon we're creating debt.
Lots of it.
And pretty soon we're creating upset because now we have debt for the first time. Now we have different budgets. We spend money differently. We're earning money differently.
We have different beliefs and philosophies about what you do with money. And these were all things that we didn't really know to talk about. And when we did talk about them, it never went well. So we kept talking about them in very unhealthy ways.
And we just tried to figure out how to make more money, So we're bringing this all forward because money is one of the main reasons. It's number 2. I always say it's like the top. I
say it's the top because infidelity is not happening with every single relationship, but money issues are happening with almost every relationship.
It's definitely happening with a lot.
And sometimes money issues don't have to be in the negative slant, but everybody has a relationship to money that is different than their partner's relationship to money in some way.
Yeah. So money is a fundamental reason why people argue and people get divorced. It's like a huge, huge, huge trigger. Mm-hmm. And what people don't know is that it's often not because of how much they're making or how much they're spending. It's because of their deep-seated beliefs that were created by what they learned growing up. So the first thing you need to do if you want to create a team and not argue about money anymore is have an understanding of your own personal story, your own money story, and your partner's money story. And then...
Well, there's three steps.
Okay.
First, you need to identify from whom did you learn the story that you witnessed growing up about money? Because that's not your story. That's a part of the story that you tell yourself. But sometimes I didn't want to be like my dad at all. So even though I witnessed his money story and I witnessed my mother's money story, I made a decision that I wanted a different money story than my dad.
Yeah.
So step 1 is identify what is the money story that you witnessed in your home.
Okay.
And then write down what is the current belief that you have, your own money story, so that you can start seeing the juxtaposition between the two.
Right.
And then once you've done those 2 steps, then step 3 is come to your partner and say, let's share our money stories. Where did you learn that? Why did you adopt that? Why did you not want to do that part of it?
And then once you've shared each other's money stories, then you have the opportunity to create a new money story together.
Yes.
What is it that we want to believe? What is it that we want to teach our children? What are the fundamental core values around money that we want to live from and have that be what runs our family and what we teach our kids?
And by the way, when Jan and I started doing this work, it came from a very neutral place because we finally realized we're not going to fight about money anymore. We are going to figure out what is our relationship to money. And I'd always been looking for the system because when you have something that's systematized, the thing isn't the issue, it's the way you address and interact with the thing. So money wasn't our issue, although we thought it was for years.
Right.
It was we didn't have a system that we both could align ourselves to in our unique ways and in our together ways.
Yeah.
So we identified that, and then it became so fun because I could take on things I wanted to take on. He could take on things he wanted to take on. I could ask him, hey, can I assign this role to you? And he would decide, yes, I want to take that on. And we, over the years, have gone back and forth with playing different roles around how we manage and deal with the flow of our money.
Yeah. So it's to kind of expand on what you just said.
Yeah.
Like a lot of times we'll be working with a couple and they will, like one of them will blame their partner about like, he's lazy. He doesn't do the dishes. I cook. He's supposed to clean and he doesn't do the dishes after dinner. He waits until like right before bed or he
the
does
next
it,
day.
Does it
Right.
the next morning. And it's a big problem. And so he's lazy. He doesn't care about me. He doesn't appreciate what I do. And so the person blames the other person. And when you can make it not about the person, but about the thing. So rather than I have a problem with my partner because they're this way around dishes, and you say, we have a dishwashing problem. We have a dishwashing system issue.
Breakdown.
Mm-hmm. And we need to create new agreements around dishes and when they want to do it, when I want it done, and have agreements around that. Then it's not about you, it's not about me, it's about the dishes.
That's right.
And this is a template that we do with pretty much anything. It's not about you, it's not about me. We have a money agreement conversation. How are we spending it? What are we putting away for taxes? How are we, how are we earning it? Those types of
Why
things.
do we want it? What do we want to use it for? Is it of service? I'm an acts of service love language, and Jan is a words of affirmation love language. So he wants to be reassured and reminded how great he does, or what is the reward, or what's the opportunity to celebrate. So that might be the way he wants to spend his money. And the way I want to spend my money is I want to save it so that we can have this incredible experience, so we can bring these people with us, so we can buy this gift for someone. So because there's a different operating system behind it, he's not wrong about what he wants to do. I'm not wrong. But when we talk about it and we share, and then we can collaborate on how can we have it work for both different systems, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's what makes it fun.
Absolutely. So this is a conversation we want to bring forward. What is your money story? Have you taken the time to really consider it? If you're in a relationship, do you know your partner's money story? Do you have an understanding of how what you learned in the past is impacting what you're doing right now? I mean, there's so many people who, let's say they went through the depression, not so much anymore, but are children of people who went through the depression, mm-hmm. who are savers. Mm-hmm. There's so many people that we work with who are making a ton of money. They're making lots and lots of money, and yet they still feel poor. They feel like it's never enough. They feel like they're not safe because of their money story that they grew up. And the money story isn't the truth.
And by the way, what tends to happen then is they don't realize that's what's running their programming. And then they keep getting upset with their partner about little things that they're doing. And the partner's like, I don't understand what I'm doing. Yeah. I don't know what's going on. And so now they have a secondary friction point as opposed to just the primary one, which is, oh, we don't meet on money. Let's talk about this.
Yeah. So if you're even if you're not in a relationship, you can still do this with yourself. Mm-hmm. But if you're in a relationship and you potentially have some friction around money, so there's 3 steps like Monika said. One is pay attention or think about what are the things that you learned growing up around money? What was the money story that you witnessed? And what are potentially the beliefs that you created as a result of what you saw?
Yeah, and what were the cliches that your people that were modeling for you said? My father always said, money is the root of all evil. Money doesn't grow on trees. Like, he actually said those cliches growing up in my household. You and I do not do that. We do not use cliches around money for our kids at all. I don't remember ever doing that.
I would need to pay attention to that.
I would need to ask them.
I think that if we do use cliches, they would be positive, affirming cliches.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Where like, there's so much money. You can always make money. There's money, there's some sort of positive cliche. Yeah. So the second one is, once you identified your story, look at your current money beliefs. Like, how do you spend money? When is it okay to spend money? How much do you save? How do you choose around saving? What are your current beliefs around money that are impacting how you spend?
How you spend, how you save, what you do, what you give yourself permission for.
And if you're in a relationship, once you do that, then share with your partner. So that way you can say, like, I have my way, you have your way. Neither way is the right way. Let's create a way that works together for us as a family, as a team.
Yeah.
And then the last thing that you can do is come to our Rich Relationship Masterclass, which is going to be happening this week. You can go to therichrelationship.com/masterclass. We'll make sure to put the link here in the description, where we are going to be talking about 4 big misunderstandings that people have about money that's impacting their bank account, impacting their relationship.
And their mindset.
And their mindsets.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's potentially creating upset and frustration and arguments.
That's right.
Is that what you mean?
Yep.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day. Welcome, and thank you for joining us on the Rich Relationship Show. And if you're here for the first time, go ahead and subscribe so you can get all the announcements of upcoming shows. We're on her a lot because we are excited to connect with you, and we hope to see you at the masterclass.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye-bye.